Hands up if you have a brain that likes to overthink things. What they said, what they didn't say, what you did, what you should have done, what's going to happen, what if it doesn't happen, what did happen, what could have happened. Other hand up if you would like to make it stop, or at least stop it from happening nearly so often. Now, in all fairness to our brains, the reason why they can get stuck in overthinking is because our brains think that they are protecting us by thinking about things a lot, especially things that could be a threat to us in some way. Something terrible that might happen, something that we did or said that could put someone off and make them reject us, something that could threaten our security or safety or future in some way. And so our brains, if left unchecked, will glob onto those things because there's something inside of our brains that think, if I think about this a lot, then I can prevent either something bad from happening, or maybe in some kind of obscure way, I can redo something that happened in the past. And even though our brains think that they are trying to protect us, what is really happening is that we are suffering in the meantime. If you have a brain that overthinks ad nauseum and goes around and around and it drives you crazy, it makes you stressed, it makes you anxious, it makes you worried, it makes you upset, it makes you depressed, then the benefits of that overthinking to protect you are not being mitigated by the cost that it is costing you, with it creating all of these big, difficult, upsetting, frustrating emotions. So what do? I'm going to give you 3 really simple tips that as you repeat them, it's going to train your brain to do something differently instead of going into overthinking. Now, you will have to repeat these ones to create new patterns in your brain, new neural pathways in your brain, because your brain is going to keep doing what it's always done unless you intentionally train it to do something different. And as you know, with training, it's not just a one and done. You do something once and then it's fixed forever. With training, you actually have to repeat and train your brain to do something different. And all 3 of these tips are going to train your brain to do just that, to be more peaceful, present, in the moment, and not always down these rabbit holes. But first, if you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you are back again, it is always good to have you. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you get something out of it. And special shout out to my shifters who are here. Say hello in the comment section below. My name is Kristina, and I help heart-centered humans break through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And if you have an overthinking brain, this is definitely something that is holding you back. So what do? First thing that we're gonna do is you're gonna start looking at what you're overthinking about, because chances are you're not overthinking about everything. You might not be overthinking about what you had for breakfast, or what your favorite color is, or how many bristles are on your toothbrush. There are some things that are just happening around you in your life every day and you are not overthinking about them. But then there are those ones that you are. Take a few days and start to notice when your brain goes into those repeated thought loops where you can't just let it go, where it just keeps going around and around and driving you crazy. Start to write down, what is it that I'm overthinking about? And then go into detail. Sit down with a piece of paper and write out exactly what it is that I'm worried about, that I'm stressed about, that I regret, that I wish I'd done differently, that I want to do differently. Whatever it is that your brain is going around and around about, brain dump. Just dump out any of those thoughts. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct. It doesn't have to be, a formal dissertation that's going to be submitted for publication. Just the thoughts that are going through your head. Get them out of your brain and onto paper. That in and of itself is going to give you a lot of relief just by writing it down. Now, if you want to take it one step further, read what you wrote. And there's this really cool thing that happens when we write something down and then read it back, is our brain has some separation from it and is able to see it almost in like this third party way. So if you've ever noticed going around and around and around in your head, you just keep going around. You don't necessarily come up with the greatest solutions. You can't really sort through it. It's just kind of this jumbled mess. But as soon as you get it out on paper, get that, even that jumbled mess out on paper, your brain is able to see it from a little bit of a step back. It's like a friend coming to you and saying, I'm so worried about this job interview. What if I totally bomb it? What if I'm an idiot? What if I don't know what I'm doing? What if I'm not qualified? What if I can't do this? What if they just gave me this interview to be nice? What if I make a fool of myself, right? And you kind of just say to your friend, okay, just a second, let's take a step back. What's going on here? What are you really worried about? Why do you think this is going to happen? Have you ever completely bombed an interview before? If you have, what did you learn from that? What do you want to do differently this time? If you've never bombed an interview before, why do you think you're going to? What could you do to prepare? Right? You kind of take that little bit of a step back and you'll be able to see the situation more clearly instead of being right in it, just like you'd do with a friend that was stressing, obsessing, or worrying about something. And so the same thing when you write it down, you're able to kind of take a step back and see those words and be like, okay, wait a second. Well, what about this? Well, I think I could handle it like this. Well, actually, that's not really a problem. I don't really need to worry about that. And this magical thing starts to happen when we see those thoughts, those overthinking thoughts out on paper. So that's going to be your first step, is to just start to take some time to notice which specific things you are overthinking about, because I'm going to guarantee you it's not everything, but it is going to be similar things in kind of similar categories that are going to keep popping up. The next thing that's going to be really helpful is to come up with an anchor thought. A thought that's going to anchor you back, that's going to get you more solid on the ground when your brain is kind of flying off the handle, when it's going into all the what ifs or the if onlys. To bring it back to this present moment by coming up with 1 or 2 or 3 anchor thoughts. And maybe you're going to have a different anchor thought for different situations or different things that your brain overthinks about. Different anchor thoughts that are going to work for those different patterns of thought that come up in those different areas. So here are a few examples of some anchor thoughts. This first one, it's my favorite, and it's so simple. I use this one when my brain starts going down rabbit holes and I can't really see the trees through the forest, meaning I can't really see or get a handle on some of these irrational or unhelpful thoughts. I can't talk myself down from them, but what I do is repeat this simple 2-word mantra. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Just giving my brain that reminder in that moment that I am okay calms me down and is able to get my brain to realize that, in fact, I am okay. Outside immediate threat or danger or immediate physical pain, I am okay. Another one, my brain is playing tricks on me right now, and I don't have to believe everything that it's coming up with. Knowing that our brain often thinks certain thoughts or gets into patterns of overthinking, stressing, or worrying about certain things because that is what it's always done. It's a habit. It's something that is learned. It's something that we keep repeating because we keep repeating it. And so knowing that not all thoughts are truths. And sometimes our brains just come up with these things, maybe out of nowhere, maybe for a reason in the past of something that we went through, something that we're stuck on, something that we are holding on to, but knowing that just because I'm thinking it, it doesn't make it true. Another grounding thought, reminding yourself, if you are worried about something that is uncertain or unknown in your future, reminding yourself that you've been through difficult, hard, challenging things before. And most of the time, they weren't as bad as you thought they were going to be, and you got through it okay. And even the ones that were more difficult, you still got through them because you're here now, right? So reminding yourself, I can handle this. I've handled hard things before, and part of being human means that hard things are going to come up in my life, and I'm going to continue to be able to handle them and trust myself that I can do that. Now, you don't have to go into all of that with the anchor thought, but I'm just expanding on it a bit so you kind of see the background behind this particular thought to give it a little bit more depth to help ground you. The next anchor thought, I will figure this out. I am responsible, I am resourceful, I am strong, I am intelligent, I can figure it out. I have figured things out before. There have been so many things in my life that have been uncertain, that have been out of my control, and I have figured them out. I have before, and I will again. Another anchor thought, I don't know the answer right now. And maybe I don't need to. So often we are trying to figure out a solution to something that there might not yet be a solution for, that we might not yet have the clarity on. Whether or not we're going to make a move, change a job, end a relationship, start a relationship, make a big transition in our life in some way. We don't know, is this time right? What's going to happen if I do? What's going to happen if I don't? What's the answer? What's the right thing to do? How often have you said that? What is the right thing to do? But maybe that clarity is not there yet. And what if you trusted that when the clarity was there, you would know what to do? That you don't have to have it all figured out in this moment, which then leads us to another anchor thought, which is a bit cliche, but nonetheless, there's some validity to it if you really lean in and sink into it. I'm going to trust the process. I am still in process. I am not at outcome or solution yet. I am still in process, and I'm going to allow myself to be in that process. Which one of these connected with you? Let me know in the comment section below. If there's one or two or three or all of them that you're gonna put into your back pocket and pull out next time you need an anchor thought, let me know. And our third one, take the time to balance out the thoughts about the worst case scenario and all of the terrible, upsetting, painful things that maybe might or could happen, and look at all the great things that maybe might or could happen. Because in most circumstances, either outcome is possible. But I want to tell you a little bit of a secret. Either outcome is not as likely as you think. Now, I'm not saying this to be a downer, to be like the best thing ever is not super likely, but in reality, most things in life that you do, that you change, that you take on, that you venture into, that you try, don't go terribly. They're not a complete disaster. They're not a total failure or a big mess. But the other side of it is true too. The things that you change or that you do or that you take on or you try are not often the solution to all your problems that automatically make your life the best thing ever. Usually, it's somewhere in between. Meaning, usually the things that you change or take on or try end up being good or okay or fine. So taking a little bit of a step back and balancing out these extreme thoughts that it either is going to be the worst ever or it has to be the best ever, and looking at it as it's going to be something different, and there's going to be some things about this new step that I take or this new venture that I go on or this new thing that I try that are going to be good. And there's some things that are probably going to be hard. And there's some things that are going to challenge me. And there's some things that are going to make things better. And so looking at that, and when it comes to what other people might be thinking about you, They're probably not thinking that they're the worst, most awkward, ridiculous, stupid, lame human on the planet. But on first encounter, they're probably not thinking that you're God's gift to humanity and the most incredible human they've ever met. They're probably thinking, Julia, she seems nice. She seems fine. We had a nice little chat. So taking a little bit of a step back and bringing yourself into not this like positive, overly enthusiastic, everything is amazing and wonderful and always going to be amazing, wonderful thought, and bring it back into more of what I call responsible thinking. Responsibly thinking means that you look at kind of this balanced approach of this is probably going to be okay. This is probably going to work out in some way. And if it doesn't work out, I'm probably going to be able to figure out what to do next. This person is probably not thinking all these terrible things, but they're probably not also thinking all these amazing things. They're probably not really thinking a whole lot, or they're thinking something generally relatively kind of good or neutral. We have to take off these expectations of our outcomes being either the worst ever or insisting that they have to be the best ever, which, don't get me wrong, amazing if they're the best ever and you try something, you go for something, you change something, you meet someone and it turns out to be this best thing ever, amazing. And that does happen sometimes. But taking a little bit of a step back and being like, you know what? It's probably fine. It's probably going to be fine. I'm already pretty fine. And bringing it back into that more balanced, responsible thinking. To help you break this pattern of overthinking everything, I have a free download for you. If you don't have it already, then make sure that you get it. It's my 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise, and it's going to help train your brain to get out of those obsessive, repeated, stressful, overthinking brain thoughts. It's a great one for that. It's going to retrain your brain to be more peaceful and present and not get so caught up in those thoughts. Get that. It's free in the description below. The link is there. And now let me know. Which one of these really connected with you? Which one of these gave you an aha? What was one of your takeaways from this talk? I would love to hear, because I love hearing what connected with you, what made a difference. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you got something out of it. That would be amazing. And until next time, take good care of yourselves. Take good care of those around you. Bye for now.